Welcome to Brit Wrestling Fan Podcast. I'm your host, Andy, and as always, on our weekly review, I'm joined by my co-host, Panntera. How are we doing, buddy?
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching. I swear to God, I have a shirt on, so I'm not just a talking head here. We are two talking heads. We're very important talking heads, but we wear clothing. So onward to you, Andy. How was your week?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not a bad little week in wrestling, I suppose. I had a lovely weekend. It was my anniversary, so me and the missus went out.
Congratulations.
Nice little 6 years, poor girl. But she puts up with me anyway, and obviously my fascination with wrestling, which is obviously why we're here.
She gave you that lovely room, didn't she?
Do you know what? You want to see what she got me for my anniversary? I got a unmatched Fury Rousey Roddy Piper figure.
That's cool. I like those.
Yeah, cool, Andy.
Yeah.
But yeah, apart from that, that was a nice little week. How about yourself? Anything going on your end?
Nothing, man. Just catching up on a lot of different wrestling and a lot of different things that happened this week that was kind of important in the world, but also made you scratch your head. But I think that's the norm nowadays, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's one of them, hasn't it? It was. I think this week I even enjoyed RAW, which was quite strange. But it's been some good news, some kinds of not so good news, and everything in between. But we'll get into it anyway, mate. First thing I wanted to talk about before we go into any kinds of spots on Raw and stuff. Obviously, we'll pick apart little bits and bobs. So that was the thing that's been frustrating me most probably this week was the situation with Adam Cole. I just feel like we just keep on seeing very recycled news, like not news come out. We're not seeing what's actually happening with him, which is interesting. And I just want to know what your thoughts are. What do you think his next move is going to be?
There's a lot of advertising on nothing. It's like we're hearing the same news about nothing for him, and people are repeating themselves over and over again. But while that's going on, nobody's given us an official word on Sasha Banks.
No,
nothing. So if you're gonna keep doing news about something that's not going to happen, let the guy. The guy just wants to make a decision. Leave him alone.
Yeah,
better working than Sasha Banks, but Sasha Banks at least had some mystique to it because she was up for a title shot. Now, what's the news that I heard about Sasha Banks? And it's exactly what you and I talked about. We thought how we talked about last week. I asked you, I said, do you think she has heat? And you said, I don't know. For her to be pulled was kind of weird. I end up finding out through people that mainly it's because she's unvaccinated. Meant she's hanging out with people unvaccinated. You and I don't want to speculate as far as medical reasons for anything, and we don't. It's stupid. And we don't tell people what to do with their life because who are we? We're just two people that talk about wrestling.
Yeah.
But for real though, I mean, I get it. Like I understand why they would pull her.
Yeah.
Especially for the amount of time. So
she's going to put all the performance at risk. Then obviously it's you know what I mean. But as we say, I don't really want to get into that whole situation. It's a bit for me. But I am very interested in where she's been and what the explanation is, if we ever get an explanation. Because it's unlike Dave Meltzer or Sean Ross Sapp not to have any kind of backgrounds on this either. And we've had radio silence from them ways as well, haven't we?
Nothing, right? Exactly, nothing. But we hear more about Adam Cole and how there was memos sent out to wrestlers, which is very interesting. Wrestlers that had memos sent about his absence. Yeah. So it could either be the greatest work of all, or it's just time for him to go somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, we'll see anyway. Adam Cole. So, question I've been asking myself, and I'm going to ask you this question: is do you feel like he should go to AEW? My thoughts on it is, I don't think he should, because I feel like WWE and AEW are in the same boat as in they both are rubbish at booking mid-carders, and I don't feel like Adam Cole will go to the main event with the likes of Punk there, Omega still in there. Adam Page, that story still hasn't been told fully yet. And then we've obviously got the likes of Bray, Wyatt potentially coming in. So does he stick with WWE? You were basically telling him they're going to push him, or does he move on to AEW where potentially he could be just a mid-carder?
If somehow he gets back into NXT, that's going to be botched up because of the news that happened about that.
I mean,
I
the other
think
option as well is the other option you've got to think of is, does he go to Impact or does he just stay on the independents for a while? There's more than two options, isn't there?
This morning, it's funny you mention it. I just saw footage of Alex Shelley on the independents, and I said, well, this guy's got a long career, doesn't he? And he's I think he's only been in Impact, and then maybe, if I recall, he was doing stuff like Velocity, if but yeah, I'm trying to think. I do believe that maybe, who knows, maybe he goes to New Japan.
Yeah,
maybe Cole goes to New Japan.
Ring of Honor.
Would he go back? It'd be awesome. That would be a cool story to be told. That's a working story right there. Like, I came back to wrestle.
Yeah,
I came back to prove something.
Yeah,
and then the Briscoe brothers would come in and beat his butt. Something, I don't know. I don't watch too much Ring of Honor, but what I see there is pretty cool. That and MLW was just fun too. Like, if you watch that Contra stuff going on, that Contra faction is just very cool.
Yeah. So there's something I need to look into a bit more. I did dip in and out of MLW a little bit. I mean, the problem you've got is there's so much wrestling, isn't there? And obviously we've got day-to-day lives, so it's hard to keep up with everything. But I did dip into it when Davey Boy Smith Jr. was there. Harry Smith, obviously we haven't even seen him come back yet, so I don't know what's going on with him. But I did like the MLW stuff. I'm loving the British scene at the moment as well, of being TNT, especially TNT Wrestling Extreme. They have some great shows. I've just I go to the Superstars of Wrestling show, which is basically like the NXT version of their show, and then they have the main shows, and it's just brilliant. They're really doing well. I'm lucky it's based on me all the time. Got Future Shock as well.
Do you bring your kids to that?
Yes, yeah, you can do. Well, some shows you can, some shows you can't. So they actually have family-friendly ones, and then they'll have over 18s only as well.
Wow.
So it's interesting, and so they cater for everyone, which is great. We've got some really, really good talent at the moment. Just seeing a tag team. Oh, I can't remember the name of them, but I will get it for next time. They're trained by Grizzled Young Veterans. They look very, very good, very, very technical. Billington Bulldogs, obviously Dynamite Kid's nephews, looking like they're going to be stars of the future.
Hope so.
We've got Harley Hudson, one of the girls he interviewed on the channel. She looks very unique and different than a lot of wrestlers over in the stateside and stuff. So I think she could potentially, especially where WWE is saying about the aesthetics of people, she looks like she's aesthetically something that they could work with. And there's just lots of different. Lana Austin, obviously, she's veteran now, isn't she? Lizzie Evo. There's a lot of people over here that are doing really, really well, and hopefully with the pandemic subsiding slightly, should we say, hopefully we'll see them go on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, Lana. All I really know out of those is I've seen Lana Austin. I just go, she's a thick page, but nothing wrong with that.
No. All right,
I've seen her in the ring, but she is she's a good worker. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll move on to this weekend wrestling, as what the show's called, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Not a lot to unpack on Raw. Real talking point for me was Damian Priest pinning Drew McIntyre. What's your thoughts on that?
That's cool. That's cool. You knew that we didn't think that Drew was going to go back into the title picture right away for the world title. Was it so much for a fall from grace? No, because if it was a fall from grace, then they would have had Jinder go over, and they would have continued that feud. Glad they kind of killed that. Priest is a star. Priest is somebody that you could look at from 20 and 30 years ago and know he's a star.
Do you think he wins the title at some point?
Ask me when they take this title off of him.
Okay.
Then you have something, you know?
See, my worry with him is he's 41.
Lashley's 46.
But Lashley had a big career beforehand, didn't he?
What's a big career nowadays?
You
have to swoop back around.
Yeah, I suppose. And I suppose wrestling nowadays is different, isn't it? You know, I think WWE probably realise as well as a lot of us do is the days of your seniors and stuff are gone now. Where you're going to have one person who's going to carry the company for 10 plus years, because I just feel like the generation nowadays, especially with their kind of attention span and stuff, they're not gonna, they're not gonna like somebody for that long. You could see it obviously towards the end with Cena. People were just rejecting him left, right, and centre because he was constantly there, wasn't he? But I mean, now he comes back and forward, and it's a bit better for him. But I just don't think you can be a long title reign anymore.
No. I tried to think of how they make stars their own anymore, and I think it has to do with box office appeal too. You had guys like The Rock, you had Cena. I watched that Vacation Friends movie that he just came out with too. That was pretty funny. Dumb but funny.
Yeah.
And they already have a second one coming out too. So
yeah, I watched the Suicide Squad the other night. It was kind of good. Even to be fair, Cena was very good in that.
He's not bad. He definitely commands an audience, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they want to make stars their own. They could do it with Damian Priest. They could have done it with Keith Lee.
I still think there's a big story there to be told with Keith Lee.
Anybody that thinks that he wasn't telling the whole truth, or anybody thinks that he was telling the whole truth yesterday or last month when he came out with the video, is sadly mistaken. There is more to it. You can't just say you got COVID and then he got infected. There's more to it. If that was true, why didn't WWE say he had COVID?
Yeah. No, well, it was his heart, wasn't it? That was the issue.
That and blood. Like it was something with a infection in his blood.
It was an inflammation of the heart, it was. Okay. Basically, he was saying that he couldn't walk or he couldn't really do anything, exert himself, because he was at high risk of a heart attack.
Right. So that does make sense. It's just that whole thing sounded doctored up, though. That's why I was like,
I mean, do you know what? I think it's correct, because the one thing with WWE, and it's right, if somebody's going through something like that, who are they to release a statement and say there's an issue there or something? You know, I think the one thing with wrestling fans is we always expect an explanation. And, you know, straight away with Keith Lee goes missing, and it's like, right, okay, they're burying him, you know, he's not on telly, oh, there's issues with his name. You know, we've had these conversations because we speculate. And then it was, you know, Keith Lee's come out and told his own side of the story, which is fine. But what does WWE need to release a statement for when it's a health condition like that?
Yeah. Look, they had no problem talking about COVID with anybody else. So when this guy got hurt and when he had all these injuries, you know, it's no problem for them to say it was COVID, because it was. And he had other injuries related.
Keith Lee didn't have COVID.
He got it from Mia. Or he gave it to Mia afterward.
All right. Because, you know, I didn't think he had it. I thought it was something to do, as I say, with his heart and with the inflammation. I didn't think it was COVID related with him.
Oh, there was some other stuff going on there. So, but I also think there's more to it than this.
But also, what you've got to say to yourself is, with him having that heart condition, obviously we won't spend too much time on this because it's over all ground, but if he had the inflammation of his heart where he couldn't do any kind of exercise or get himself excited or anything like that, if WWE released a statement to say that there was something wrong with him or acknowledged anything was wrong, his phone would have rang off the hook. He would have had people dun, 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 you know, coming, what's up? And, you know, that in itself could have hampered his recovery.
There's no good way to do it, but it didn't help when he said, you know, when he would tweet out, "Don't worry, things will happen," or you'll say, like,
Yeah.
you're not a movie trailer.
No. Well, anyway, let's move on. Yeah, apart from that on there, I thought Randy Orton and Riddle beating MVP and Lashley was a fun little segment. Fun match.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
not too bad. The way they set it up as well, I thought was really good. Where kind of Riddle's like, "Oh, come on then," do you know what I mean? And, you know, really good segment. Raw for me was, I enjoyed it this week. I did. There's bits of it, as always, that didn't really make sense to me or I didn't really like. But on a whole, it was a show that I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah. There was some
Yeah.
good things. And then there was some really, really, really terrible, disgusting things that made me go,
Like,
you and I talked about this off the air.
mm,
And we have different positions on who we like, but the reasoning for it is terrible. First off, Nia Jax should not be in a ring. She shouldn't touch anybody. When she came and hit Ripley, people don't talk about that. When she knocked Ripley and Ripley's head went off the rope, that's what she should have gotten yelled at for, or something should have happened with that. That was disgusting. You don't do that. She's reckless. Whatever happened in the ring just looked awful. The match sucked. Nia Jax can't wrestle. She can't sell. She doesn't know how to interact with anybody else. You know, I guess that's why they put her with Baszler, because they're going to have her wrestle for her while Nia Jax looks there.
One thing I say is I think Jax is a good promo.
It's all scripted. There's nothing from the heart. The only thing that's from the heart is, "I'm bigger than you." Okay, sky's blue.
Yeah. Do you feel like it was a real shoot, or do you feel like it was part and parcel of the?
I think it went haywire. I don't think it was a real shoot. If it was a real shoot, it'd be a little bit more than. Charlotte's a professional. I don't think she would have punched her right in the face like that. I think Nia is nepotism at its finest.
Yeah, but if you look before Charlotte slaps her the first time, there was 2 moves where Nia really messed them up, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, she totally did. You know, but it's hard to work with. Like, you ever lift a sofa up?
Yeah.
There's no moving it. There's no maneuvering it. You just have to work with it. That's what Nia Jax is, a sofa in the ring.
Yeah, but this is where, do you know, I mean, it's probably going to be very controversial, this, but where the likes of everybody says Charlotte is so great. Well, if she's that great, then why can't she have a good match with Nia Jax? Because if you look at Bret Hart, he had some great matches with some whoppers.
Yeah, I mean, he had a feud ahead of its time with Hakushi. Okay, he was great, phenomenal. He, like I said, ahead of his time, Hakushi. Kevin Nash was not the greatest worker of all, but Kevin Nash will tell you his best matches were against Bret Hart.
Because
you
Bret
also
Hart
have to elevate. You have to elevate these people.
Yeah. And that's what I don't think Charlotte can do. And that's why I don't put it in a great category.
That triple threat with her and Rousey and Becky Lynch. Do you think Rousey elevated Lynch?
No.
Do you think Lynch elevated Rousey?
No. I thought all 3 of them were top competitors, and that's what you get when you put 3 top competitors together who can do well. Same as in the same sense as Mr. Perfect versus Bret Hart. Nobody got anyone over. They both worked their asses off and done a great job. But what I'm trying to say is, like, if you put Charlotte against the Becky Lynch, she'll make perfect music. But you put Charlotte versus an Nia Jax or versus an Eva Marie, can she put a great match out of that? Can she get them over? Because when you took Bret Hart away from a Mr. Perfect and you put him with a Yokozuna, with a Kevin Nash, he still got them over. A very green Isaac Yankem. He made look very good. And that's for me, that's the difference between okay worker and an awesome worker, and I don't think Charlotte's an awesome worker. That's what I'm trying to get at.
So you think it's okay? I could buy that. Like
I'm not saying it's
totally against that.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's Charlotte. Like Charlotte should get Nia Jax over. She should make it better, but realistically, she should, because if she's this great worker, then she needs to, you know, be able to get someone like Nia over and make it look good. Now, maybe slapping it in the ring was her way of trying to teach Nia and say, look, you know, come on, stick it up, and you know, we might get that. But
okay, just to piggyback off of that, though, if now I know what you mean about the elevating workers, but if she was to say lose her job and then go to another place, does she elevate the competition instantly?
No.
So you don't think she would do anybody a favor and make Chris Statlander a better wrestler?
No.
Okay. Sheeta.
Nope.
Okay.
I don't think Charlotte Flair can make anybody a better wrestler. I think Charlotte Flair works well with better wrestlers, but I don't think she puts somebody else over, because if she could do that, WWE could leave it in the middle of the card, away from the title picture. But the fact that Charlotte Flair cannot be away from the title picture tells me everything I need to know.
Sounds like okay, but somebody that could, and I think you'll agree with me, is Natty Neidhart.
Yes.
Very good.
But then again, you know, is Natty the best of workers?
She's a lot better than Tamina.
Mm.
She's a lot better than Naomi.
Is she?
I'd say so. Why? Because Naomi could do a split.
I think with Natalia, she's a bit of a big match John. She's got that set of moves that she does, and she doesn't really, you know, deviate from them moves.
Okay. All right. I don't know.
I think if you're looking for me now, someone like a Bianca Belair, because Bianca Belair's had a match in that triple threat the other week with in the Fatal 4-Way elimination with a bad Liv. Liv's a good wrestler, so take her out of the equation. Carmella can go a little bit, so you know, but when she's fought against Selena Vega, who's awful in the ring, and she's got a half decent match out of it.
Yeah.
So for me, Bianca Belair is somebody that can elevate the person, elevate the talent.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the yesteryears where we would watch Ivory and Miss Jacqueline and Trish Stratus and Lita and maybe 3 or 4 others. That you know, kids at home, that was it. And then you want to go into the 90s, they had to bring people over from Japan.
Yeah, with Alundra Blaze and
Bull Nakano.
Yeah,
my favorite. And then Aja Kong too. You want to talk about good matches? Watch those.
Yeah.
Survivor Series, one of my favorite pay-per-views ever, Survivor Series '95, and they actually had that. Oh, it was probably one of my favorites ever.
Yeah, good match as well. Okay, so we'll move on to NXT. For me, there's not really much to go at here. I did like Samoa Joe's promo. Thought that was pretty good. Obviously, for me, NXT is just in a bit of the transitional stage at the moment. I know we've seen a new logo. We discussed that last week. But for me, it was kind of just a transitional week and not really much to discuss there. As I say, I like Joe's promo. That was about it for me. What about yourself?
Yeah, they've been kind of just writing home, you know, because I think they know it's coming, whatever it is.
And I know there was some kinds of talk about Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon taking over the production side of things and stuff for NXT. Now, it said on Fightful before that that's not the case, and Vince and Bruce Pritchard have actually had a meeting with the talent to say, no, that's not going to be the case, and we're not going to be taking over this. It's going to be business as usual, which is really good to see.
I hope so. Yeah, but you know, Bruce is a liar, Bruce is a well-known liar.
See, I like Bruce, to be fair.
He's the corporate figurehead that is the talking head at any type of documentary that they have. They just sell their own. It's, he's the sponsor. He's the guy. He's the spokesperson, I should say, for the company. And he says what he's told to say. I think he wants to say a little bit more. I think he definitely was creative 20, 30 years ago, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, I don't know if I could believe Bruce with anything that he says right now.
It'll be interesting to see what goes on with that anyway. So we're on Dynamite to me, and we had Punk again, cutting another promo. We actually seen him hit a GTS on this one, which was pretty cool. First GTS in how many years? So it's always a bit nostalgic, isn't it? Apart from that, on this show, there's not really much else that I really want to unpack. The Elite and the Lucha Brothers versus Jurassic Express was not a bad match, I'd say. From my notes here, Chris Jericho and MJF doing interviews.
MJF had a great promo.
Yeah,
that MJF promo was awesome, though.
MJF always does, doesn't he? He always does, no matter what he's doing. So I was happy with that. But apart from that, there was not really a lot to unpack here. The MJF and Chris Jericho feud, for me, the whole feud is being done backwards. If you could go back and look at that whole feud and go, that would be, for me, how it should go. Like the 5 labors, it should have been, you've been through hell, but now you're going to have to go to death. And Nick Cage should have been the last match on that one before he got to MJF. And also the fact of, if it was the 5 labors of Jericho should have been the 5 labors up until the 5th labor should have been somebody else, and then All Out. If he won that, he should have been facing MJF All Out. But the fact that they had that match on Dynamite and then they're doing it again, it's just a bit, come on, do you know what I mean? And then also the Blood and Guts match, it's like that should have been the ending.
That was fun. And that's a pay-per-view match too.
Yeah.
Was I talking about that with you when you have all these figures and they're taking commercial breaks for this match? And then I said, you have Wardlow come out during a commercial break and he should get like this, oh my God, monster pop. Like the Elimination Chambers, you have Kane that would get unlocked and then he's facing Carlito. Oh crap, here comes the big baddie bad. The whole thing was booked backwards. I don't want to see any more of it either. You have too much talent.
No. It's the one thing that's frustrating. It just shows on this show, and it's the same with WWE. Is the mid card is so weak in AEW. It's like they throw everything at the top show. And the other thing that I feel with, I was talking to one of the lads yesterday, and he made a really good point of, with AEW, they seem to promote, and then the end product's just
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? There's no kind of big final payoff, where for me WWE are better at that. They're better than getting the final big pop and the big payoff at the end of something.
Well, the payoff actually happens though, because Tony Khan sells the sizzle, and the steak was an exploding match that actually fizzled, literally. Okay. On top of that, though, I mean, Punk coming out is great, but I don't want to see him cutting promos next to Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy. I don't want to see that.
So
keep him away.
Just to butt in here and go back to it, I'm actually just on my phone now. I've just had an update off Fightful Patreon group. So, Sasha Banks update. Sasha Banks has been out of action since before SummerSlam, when she was pulled from the event. Since then, Banks has not been around shows until this past Friday's episode of SmackDown. Several sources told Fightful that Banks was backstage at this week's SmackDown. We have not been told of any creative plans for her at the moment.
There's stuff, man. There's heat. I'm watching a replay of Rampage where the guy offered Punk a beer.
Yeah.
It is so funny. The shaking his head, and the guy's just talking with him. It's so funny.
Oh.
Punk got pissed, huh?
It's one of them, though, innit? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not being funny, but what Punk's got to realise as well now is that fella that's offered him a beer was probably only 12 when he was, you know what I mean? When
That's true.
he was last in the wrestling, and he probably didn't watch wrestling around about the 12, so he probably didn't even know the Straight Edge Society or Punk's story. So I think Punk's just got to realize that not every fan's going to remember the whole Straight Edge gimmick and everything. And we know it's not a gimmick. Sorry, I know that's the way he lives his life, which is great.
It is
You
true.
know,
Yeah.
and that's absolutely fine. Good on him. You know, I respect him for that. But he's got to respect the fact that not all fans are going to know that. So if I was him, I would have been laughing my head off. But on the pictures, it looked like he was laughing his head off a little bit, but he did look like he got a bit pissed, and it was kind of like, come on, mate, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but I get it because it's CM Punk. He could get pissed, and people would still laugh at his reactions
Yeah.
because of how, first of all, the guy's spoken truth for the past 8, 9 years.
Yeah.
Everything that he says, I don't think I could sit there and disagree with anything he said about the industry.
Mm.
You know, and he's, not going to say shit's gold, but the guy, is just, he's created such a persona for himself that he could do whatever and still get good reactions. But that's so funny. That
Yeah.
guy was just living in the moment too, giving him a beer and offering him a drink, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one other thing I wanted to mention off Dynamite was Tay Conte beating Penelope Ford. I was happy to see Tay Conte again because do you know when I believe it was the 2017 Mae Young Classic,
Yes.
and I actually liked her in it.
She had straight hair. She looked good. She still
Yeah.
looked good, but no, she was she had a different look, and they marketed her as a Brazilian jiu-jitsu background heavily, and you could just tell because she's just ripped, and the way how toned she is too, So I don't know. I guess for her to job out to Penelope Ford isn't really.
No,
Honestly,
she defeated her, didn't she?
yeah, she beat her, and then there was a run in because AEW, because AEW. But
Yeah.
Anna Jay came back. Now Anna Jay, she's had, prior to getting signed, she did 3 matches.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Do you remember when she first started in AEW and she wore a top hat?
Yeah.
And she had a cane and a top hat, right? What was that gimmick going to go to?
Fuck knows. We've seen a lot of seems to be a lot of talent in AEW who don't sign contracts before they come in and wrestle, which is it's good to see. Like they're not just throwing money out there for nothing. Okay, so
no, that's not exactly the case because we need to have a nice interview where Mail-In Mox has to open up the forbidden door of the Golden Rainbow Bridge Community Center for Japanese wrestlers from 30 years ago.
No.
Anybody tell me one person that's buying that pay-per-view that for that match.
Yeah, none. None. I am buying the pay-per-view for the Kingston Miro match though. I think it's got potential to be one a match that's got a 10.
Awesome. It's just awesome.
I
Eddie Kingston makes
feel
me
like
proud to be from Queens.
Yeah, I don't think many people are talking about that match either because of the whole Punk and everything else. And I think it's
He's
got
from
the
Brooklyn.
potential to. Yeah, he's a New Yorker.
He's a borough boy like me. Okay.
Yeah. Rampage. Don't really want to go too much into it. I feel like Rampage is like your Sunday Night Heat or your Saturday Night Shotgun kind of
Shotgun
program.
Saturday Night. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't think until they kind of build it a bit more. Maybe do a brand split and then have certain people.
Well, yeah, but sometimes you have some gold on commentary there. Like Jericho asked about Punk, why he's wearing a bulletproof vest last night, and Punk said something about a bulletproof vest, and And I don't know if you know this, but he goes, "Well, it is Chicago,"
Yeah.
and there was dead silence. And I don't, not to get too into crime rates, but it's the worst crime rate that they've had in 30, 40 years in
I tell you one
Chicago.
thing, I do like Mark Henry on commentary.
Can we call it Mark on Mark to Marks? When he does the interview, can we just call it Mark to Marks?
Yeah. But I like him. I like Mark. I think he's really, really good, and I like his style. And he's kind of just got that honest feel about him, rather than, you know, the one thing I do want to see in AEW, and I think we'll talk about this a little bit more as we go on. But I don't like Tony Schiavone commentating and then interviewing. It's
Yeah,
like get an interviewer, get somebody in to be an interviewer.
I agree. Yeah,
You know, instead of just using Schiavone all the time.
yeah. But I don't mind if they do that sit down that they do once in a while. Like, you know how JR would be like, "Well, I spoke with Mankind.
Yeah,
You know, I
yeah,
spoke with Mick Foley," which changed the guy's career. It
yeah.
changed both of their careers, actually.
Do you know what? It's not even that I don't. It's not that I don't like thingy, because I do. You know, Shivani. I like Shivani. No problem with Shivani. It's just the fact that I just feel like you need somebody different to do them, because you've got him on commentary, you've got him there, and it's like, you know, just change the dynamic a bit rather than
Dasha,
anything else. Do you know what I mean?
Dasha's back there.
Yeah,
You know, I think you need more of her to come around, because she's a good interviewer there.
yeah.
You know
Definitely.
who is my favorite too? And then he's like really milking it right now. Alex Abrahantes, who's with Penta.
Yeah.
You know, just these oozing. And I don't know why I say these things, because I say them before, and then all of a sudden I hear Cornette go, "You know who's really good?" And I go, "You got to be kidding me. Maybe I'm just a descendant of him. I don't know." But if that were the case, then, you know, he's got illegitimate children that he never wanted. But I don't wear glasses, so.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know, I do think that Shivani should be, you know, actually just behind the booth. You're right.
Yeah.
You know, especially with his
Um,
ridiculous outfits too.
I'm gonna say for AEW, Rampage and Dynamite, if this was a WWE go home show, they'd be slammed for this, I think.
Yep.
But at the same time, let's face it, it's all about Punk Allen and them putting them to, you know, obviously them two having a chat on Dynamite, and then Darby Allin wrestling on Rampage, and then Spunk doing. So yeah, they're building that quite nicely. It just, again, it just goes to show my whole point of the problems with AEW is it's the championship match and the Punk match. Apart from that, it doesn't seem like, I mean, how much massive. I mean, we had a bit of a push on Dynamite for Miro and
Kingston. Yeah.
but you know, there's a lot, and then you've got the Bucks. I don't think the Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers has been pushed as much as what it should be.
Oh, well, that was the thing that closed out Dynamite the other day. You know.
Yeah,
And
but I just don't think it's being told the story. You know, don't know. I'm just, maybe it's just me picking it.
No, you're right, because that story was told so many times.
Yeah.
It seems like
Yeah.
we've had a couple of different people from Death Triangle going for titles. We had Kingston with Penta for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so we'll move on to SmackDown just briefly.
I do have a question though.
Of course.
Because you said, you know, WWE would get slammed if they did these type of mail-in shows that AEW did. Orange Cassidy beat Jack Evans the other day during commercial break. If WWE did that, they would get criticized and sliced up. Instead, fans are saying, "Oh, that's smart. That's different. That's cool."
Yeah. No.
Why?
Yeah. No.
What did you think of that? Were you just like, "Oh, this is weird"?
Just like, why did you do that for? You know what I mean? To me, it I don't think it was a decision that was made. I think it was more something. I think somebody's messed up on the timing of the match.
This is the same that's the same person who forgot to read over Max Caster's script, right?
Yeah, exactly that person. And that's something that, you know, I think AEW are just, it's a learning curve for them, isn't it? You know, everyone goes on saying the Wars are back. They're far, far away from challenging WWE, but they're making strides in the right direction.
Yep.
Which is what, you know, it's good for us to see. SmackDown, not a bad little show. Becky Lynch's promo again. I love this whole face me now. No, just walked away. Good stuff. Cesaro Rollins, brilliant match. You know,
It was good. Yeah, and they Rollins is always being brought into a promo is always good too.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to, I know they always say WWE don't have solid workers. Well, yes, they do. They have a lot of them. They might, but if you want to go and see a good WWE match or a recent match, is Cesaro Rollins who wants to go and watch from this week if you haven't already seen it on SmackDown.
Absolutely.
Like the way as well that he set up where he went to Concerto, Cesaro and Edge come in. For me, I'm happy with this because I think I've said this to you before, and I'm not ready for this feud to be over.
No. With what's next though? As far as you have an Extreme Rules match, right?
TLC match maybe.
Wouldn't you need a belt? Or it could be Gangrel's cup from the Brood. It could be sitting there on top, and then you have to reach up for it, right? It would be like the Last Crusade, Indiana Jones.
Becky on
and
a
that's
pole,
the Becky on a pole, the baby on a pole.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things that you could do, isn't there? In the, I mean, it'll probably be a street fight, no doubt.
Custody of Dominic on a pole.
Yeah, Happy Corbin and Paul, Logan Paul again. A lot of people don't like Logan Paul. I'm not one of them. I'm not saying I like Logan Paul, but I don't dislike him. And whether I like it or I don't doesn't, you know, the guy's make and till. And you know, I read a story about Logan Paul the other day on online about after his brother's fight, he was talking to the ring girl, and that ring girl's like gained something like 1 million followers just by Logan Paul talking to her. And it's just like, you know, so whether you like him, you dislike him, the guy's got pull. He's a marketing machine. He's a media machine, you know. So you've got to respect him, and I can understand why WWE are using him because it's that whole kind of crowd, and you know, he's the pop culture crowd that they probably don't have now. And once again, even like they done in the 80s, they're doing it still now, is going and popping into that pop culture and taking somebody from there to help put eyes on them. So bravo to them.
Yeah. They did it with Bad Bunny too successfully.
Yeah.
So it does work.
And then obviously you got Happy Corbin. I'm liking at the moment. I just love the fact he's a dick, and he's a nice dick. You know what I mean?
Every heel does the same thing though. As soon as they are in the lows, they get the fans behind them, and then you know, they win titles. I didn't need any one of you. That's what they all do.
Yeah, Kevin Owens got cheap shot and went down. Sami Zayn defeated Dominic Mysterio again. Yeah.
When's that turning?
I don't know. It just seems to be. It's going there, but they're not doing a good job of getting me invested in it.
No, I don't know.
You know,
I
feel like I should care about this more than I do.
Because I feel like they've worn out their Rey Mysterio welcome. I don't look at the past 10 years. I don't look at Rey Mysterio as a WWE wrestler. He's just there. He's almost like a celebrity. He's almost like Ric Flair was, or what MVP is now. I don't really. He's amazing. You know, we could do a whole show about the high spots of Rey Mysterio.
Yeah,
but we don't really need him anymore. Like we said, this is why this show this week is very weird for us, because things happen and we know where they're going to lead to.
Yeah.
Some in a weird direction on the AEW side, and WWE is just milking things, and this is the case now. We're at the point where it's like, okay, I'm not sure where where TLC or the next pay-per-view Extreme Rules, not sure when that is, but you can do that heel turn now. That's fine because you got nothing else going on. You got Bianca Belair working, you got and Bianca Belair is wearing the same outfit I wore last night, so that was really awkward if we ran into each other. But I think that you can kind of start that out. Like you could close a SmackDown with a heel turn like that. That would be big. I think you could start if you did that. If let's say Dominic faced somebody else and lost, and then did that heel turn against his dad. That would be an attention grabber, because then all of a sudden Ray's son is beating him up.
Yeah, or Ray goes the other way because Ray looks like he gets frustrated with Dominic, like, listen to me, son, so he could be the one that turns around. And I think it's all going to lead to the transition of the Mysterio character to Dominic.
I think Domino and Deuce, and Cherry. I think they would be better. He would be a better heel, Dominic.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like Hook. If you put them side by side, they kind of look like, like they could be the short little lollipop guild.
Yeah. Thing. Okay, so then we are the main event.
No, I'm talking about Taz's son, Hook.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's that. And just that Mysterio one is just at first it was kind of like, they're gonna turn it, and then they just didn't do anything.
It's what it's like? It's like that Lex Luger Tatanka feud that everybody was just like, who's taking the payoff? Oh, it's Tatanka for Native Americans, and he was the one that kind of turned heel. So
yeah, whatever, isn't it? All right, so we move on to the main event. Not a bad little match, this one. Really, really good match between the two of them. Obviously, Roman will come out with the win at the end. And then we got the tease of the return of the Demons. What are your thoughts on the match and on the return of the Demons?
I think that this is needed because they can bill this as another character. They can bill Finn as another character. Almost like I remember I was back in the day when you would wrestle with your friends and you would have your own federation, whatever. I remember there was a spot. Was it safe? No, and I don't endorse this. If I saw my own blood, I would turn into a maniac. So I'm not going to say I bladed, but accidents happened. And from there, I would turn into a maniac that was unstoppable. It was a real life Bruce Banner where the adrenaline rush would happen. From there, I believe that my fans, well, two fans, but the rest of the people that I worked with and would wrestle with, they thought it was a cool character and they wish they thought it up. When you could create something where you're creating almost like a fiend, but whenever you have that extra character, I think it kind of adds to a storyline there. We disavow Alexa Bliss for other reasons though. And she's lucky I didn't really go off on her this week because whatever. Even if she's not on the show. But still, I believe when you bring in another character out of the same person, like it's not like Eugene when he came up, all of a sudden became, he went back down to the minors or indies and he was like, oh, I just had this concussion for a little bit. I'm back now, guys. Eugene Dinsmore was a great wrestler and a talent, but then they slapped that gimmick on him. So when you could get a twofer like that, I think it just adds awesome character. It's like Lashley versus the Finn back in a couple of WrestleManias ago.
Yeah. The only thing that I'm worrying about is, just by the way, absolutely fantastic match it was between them two. But as for the Fiend, I'm not too sure. Sorry, the Fiend, the Demon, the Demon. I'm not sure I want to see him come back. I just feel like it's. I'm gonna put it. Don't bring them back just to lose, because what's the point then?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then what's he gonna do? Go back to NXT?
You see him winning the title? Does a Brock Roman feud need the title?
It helps. Brock wouldn't care. Brock wouldn't care about Roman if he didn't have the title.
But also, if you're, because I know reports now are suggesting that The Rock versus Roman Reigns is going to be at WrestleMania 39, according to Mr. Meltzer, because they want to keep him for Hollywood, which makes sense. Can't hardly smile.
Yeah.
But so, would you have Finn win the title temporarily through a Brock Lesnar distraction, then maybe move Finn to Raw in the draft, have Bobby Lashley come to SmackDown after the Survivor Series match, have Lesnar go over on Roman, because that's interesting for him to lose, and if he hasn't got the belt, it means the belt isn't tied up on Lesnar with his 2 appearances in a year. And then you have Reigns retain it, win the title back, whether that's off Finn or whoever, and then it's kind of like, oh yeah, but you're the champion, but you still haven't beat me. Then that sets us up into WrestleMania.
Okay. I'll answer that and then I'll ask you this then. Okay. I do believe that the interest is USA Network wants more stars to be on USA. They don't feel like they have the star power that's that Fox has with SmackDown. With that said, I do believe that they would get drafted. I could see a champion moving over. I could see a Roman Reigns moving over. You could say something like, I'm back here to conquer this.
Yeah.
And you could play with that. In that case, you're going to move Lashley over. And I remember MVP always being an awesome person on SmackDown. But are you sure you really want to set up something like Lashley versus Lesnar?
No, but do you move Lashley over there and he faces Roman Roman without a belt?
No.
No.
Business wise, I don't think so, because you have MVP, you have Heyman. Yeah, they make great programs.
If you need to get Lesnar to beat Roman, but you don't want to put him on the title, you've got to get the title off him at some point.
Triple threats are so lazy, because they solve that. They solve that. I think that you could put a belt on Finn. It's been years since. It was a very weird way how he won it. I was there the night prior that he won at NXT Brooklyn, and then the next day they had Finn facing for it and winning. And then he was hurt. It's unfortunate, really unfortunate. Does he get hurt that much? I think so.
No,
right?
no, I haven't seen him get hurt a lot. I think that was the big one that he had, which was quite, as you say, it was not really the great time. It was really unfortunate, but I don't know. I want to see Finn win a title, but also, as I say, I want to see him have a reign. And I feel like if he wins the title now, it may not be a big reign, because they'll probably put the belt back on Lesnar after Survivor Series, once Brock beats him. Just obviously to set up, because that can sizzle over to WrestleMania then, can't it? And then maybe, as I say, you've got, if you put Bobby over there, think the hair business of Bobby Lashley, he's not going to be a champion long term. And it could freshen the whole of Raw up, because they had Bobby right through from the WrestleMania, haven't they?
Okay, you and I are astute to this. We've been watching wrestling for basically all of our lives. Would you say that the next couple months after, I should say, after Survivor Series, do you think that's when the transitional champion comes into play?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know whether they use a transitional champion in terms of, do they keep the belt on Finn and then bring over the other belt and make a transition that way? Or do they just keep a short-term reign on Finn and then let him lose the belt again?
I think they should put every belt on Karrion Kross.
Give him a belt.
Yeah, just give him the belt. It'll match his gladiator shorts. I could see him losing again. Like, let's say he goes for another title, wins the draft this week, right? Something like that. Okay. I do see a champion going to. It's so weird because they have programs, and we said last week that usually this is the time where they make things. They throw it against the wall and stick.
I think that's why Drew lost, because I think Drew's getting drafted.
And then face Lesnar again or Reigns?
Don't think so. I think Drew probably goes into the mid card there for a while.
Ugh. Ugh.
I think he gets his match with Reigns, maybe December pay-per-view, or Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't want to see McIntyre versus Finn?
Yeah.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah. I'm not against it, but I do think Drew McIntyre is a shoe-in to be drafted.
Yeah. You think Sheamus goes with him now that he lost his title?
No.
You think? Do you think Priest?
Priest?
What about Priest?
No, because I feel like if you move Priest, you're gonna have to move the title with him, and I don't see WWE splitting up Shinsuke and Pat McAfee anytime soon.
Yeah, Pat just got the coof too. So he records his. Do you guys watch the podcast of his?
Yes,
over
I
there.
do, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So with the NFL stuff, you're just like, I don't care.
No, I like NFL.
Oh yeah.
Who
are you a fan of?
Fan.
Who are you a fan of?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the Steelers, huh? So you're a Britt Baker fan?
No, to be honest with you, I got given a hat when I was about 5 years old, and just went okay, and then started following them.
My wife's a Steeler fan, so
yeah.
So yeah, I'm a Giants fan. She's a Giants fan too with me. So,
yeah.
But yeah. Overall though, like we're saying, the Intercontinental title I think could move over to Raw, but you can't take away Rick Books. You know, you can't split that up right away.
No, it won't happen, mate, because they loved it that much that at SummerSlam they had Shinsuke just make his entrance so he could dance with Pat. So they ain't got no plans to move them, split them up, or move them away from Pat McAfee on SmackDown. It's not going to happen.
They've done worse stuff, you know that.
Yeah, but that they've done worse stuff that we like. But with the Pat McAfee Shinsuke stuff, they like it. So that's where the difference, because they like it, because if they didn't, as I say, they wouldn't have done that entrance on SummerSlam just for some random entrance just to have it. So that tells you that backstage they like that, and if they like something, it stays.
This is what the conversation is in the back. Oh, that Pat, he really loves that Radford, huh? Vince going back there. He plays scales really well.
One thing there, so obviously with that one, it's always going to come out in the wash, isn't it? Just a last thing before we wrap up. Well, second to last thing before we wrap up. I know we'll wrap up on a bit of a sad note, but I think it's a good way to end the show this week. So on a positive one, Lana, Ruby Riot, or now Ruby Soho, CJ Perry, Lana, Buddy Murphy, all non-competes are up this week. I think Ruby Soho, we're going to see 100% all out. Lana, do you see her appearing at AEW?
Nah, they need to elevate the division, not bring it down. Unless she is a valet. If she
Okay.
comes in and helps Miro win against Eddie Kingston, I'm all for it.
Okay. Do you know once I seen her when she was on Talkish Jericho and the way she talks and all the rest of it, I would make her a backstage interviewer. Because
If
I
you're
feel
doing
like she
if you're
come
doing
across so
that,
well.
then okay, but if you're doing that, then Renee Paquette has to be back there too. And
But
she's a little bit better.
yeah, but does Renee want to be back there?
She doesn't
Just
have to
having a
be.
baby and stuff like that, where you could have Lana or CJ just for now. And
They're all
obviously, there's no reason why CJ couldn't get as good as Renee, could she?
yes, there is.
Why?
You know why? Because Lana is all about Lana. Look at all of her stupid commercials that she does for Bang Energy Drink. I couldn't stomach her. I understand you're trying to make money. All right.
Mm,
She was perfect when she was the brute, heelish, foreign menace monster manager.
yeah.
She can't get out of her own way. She killed the gimmick because she posted pictures of her getting married. It's like when she was supposed to feud with her husband. She
Mm,
sucks out loud. I'm sorry. I'm
yeah.
not a fan. Once she started doing that
They should never have
lesbian
split them
angle,
two up, though.
no, no, because it buried both of them.
Mm, yeah. All right. Buddy Murphy, where do you see him going? I think, me personally, I see him Impact bound.
Straight to the top. That's where I see him. Braun
Mm.
too. Remember that. I think both of them are
Oh,
going to
well,
Impact.
Braun's already released that he's having a pay-per-view match with EC3, isn't he?
I saw that. Yeah, that's
Mm.
another underutilized guy. Ugh.
Yeah, and he's what they've made. That's Braun's done that himself. He's promoting that himself as well.
Yeah, but I'd like to know what the idea is for their center match.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. So I'm interested to see it, and I'll let it happen. Ruby Soho,
Um,
do you think we're going to see her straight to AEW?
Apparently, it's all confirmed that she's going to be the Joker card in the Casino Battle Royal.
There's 3 spaces left at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I wish there was 4 and we didn't have to watch Big Swole, but
I was just so scratching my head that Ruby, they let Ruby go from WWE. She's such a talent.
and she has a look too.
Yeah,
Take away all the makeup and the tattoos, she has a different look too from everybody else.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I just never understood it. I mean, I thought Sarah Logan was a pretty decent worker
She
too.
was, she was,
You know?
and Liv's good as well. They were all the right squad were.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
That was a
All
missed
right, well,
opportunity.
I think we'll wrap it up there, mate. Obviously, just get your thoughts very quickly. I know, obviously, you've seen what happened with Daphne.
Yeah.
Obviously, she, posted some distress and stuff on Instagram, and then it come out the fact that she passed away the next day. Loved Daphne as a child in WCW. Thought she was great. All week I've been listening to like different people on social media talking about how great she was. I only interviewed Crowbar the other week on Wrestle Buddies, for Wrestle Buddies, and he spoke so lovingly of her, that she was a lovely person and stuff. Have you got any thoughts on what happened with all that stuff?
We spoke about it last week. How I said how much of a crush I had on her back in the day.
Mm, yeah.
And is she it was nice to see people reaching out and saying how, like, just good things about her, which
Mm,
good people usually do.
yeah.
And just make it aware about mental health. And then some people made it about themselves and saying screw WWE, whatever, and that
Yeah,
that backfired.
yeah, and to be honest, that was the whole reason I didn't even want to mention that on the show. Obviously, I know you haven't. I'm just saying I didn't
Oh,
want
I'm
to
sorry,
pursue it. No, no, no. I know you.
but
You said about it, but I think he was just an absolute idiot. And that's why I don't even want to give it a second thought, because I
but you
don't
know
feel
what?
like he's.
But then Jake Atlas said some really awesome stuff. The
Yes,
guy
he
that was
did.
just let go, and he said, "Look, they helped me out. They helped my life out."
Mm,
So, and that's what I look over the bad stuff because you look at the good stuff
yeah,
afterwards, and just that you need that. Talk to
yeah,
people,
yeah.
and you need,
That's it, isn't it? Yeah.
just reach out to people and make sure that you're known that you.
Mm. Yeah,
want to
because
talk to
things
them.
always seem worse than what they are. You know, I know from personal opinions, obviously, suffered with a bit of mental health issues myself in the past, and it always seems a lot worse in your own mind than when you actually speak to somebody about it.
Yep.
So make sure that you always do, guys. Anyway, Pan, thanks for as always, man.
You too, Andy.
Spot on.
Appreciate it. And
Guys,
that was good therapy again.
yeah, that's it, isn't it? Not a great week, but I'd say we covered everything that we could on here, and that was this week in wrestling, guys. So please do like and subscribe to the video as always. Subscribe to our channel, and keep doing what you're doing, watching our videos and stuff like that. We are going to be releasing some short top 5 videos, just little 10-minute ones. So hopefully stuff to keep you entertained. But until next time, from me and Pan, thanks a lot and take care, guys. We will see you again next week. I know.